I love my amp, but to be honest with you, my amp now sounds like crap without this thing in front of it. So buy one. Just do yourself a favor. Alrighty, so here is the actual demo. Recorded a demo yesterday during the same time I posted the unboxing video, but just the way that my my camera was at a really bad angle, and it clipped and distorted, and it sounded like crap. Did not do this pedal justice. So right now we have, oh, also before I get started, since this thing is never going to be off my board ever, I don't think, I went ahead and just wrote my settings on here. This is going to be driving my Yamaha RA100 Gilmore style. So I have like the bass, mid, treble, all that kind of stuff already already written on here. So ignore those numbers. Anyway, so we have neck pickup, just S-style guitar. This is straight amp signal here. So I'm just going to kind of go through the pickups real quick just to give you a reference. So, now that you have that, I'm going to get this guy plugged in here. And gotta find my cables. Should have planned this out a little better, but whatever. Go. Now, this is with this in the line right now. So everything at noon, with these dip switches off, with this backed off a little bit, is more or less your standard signal that is unaltered at all. If you wanted this, now first thing, and I'm sure you already know, this thing is a clone, like with some extra goodies, of the Alembic F2B preamp. Jerry Garcia used it a lot. David Gilmour used it a lot. Tons of people use them just for like a signal boost and just to make an already good signal better. So it's pretty much the same kind of sound. It just kind of jumps out and just sounds a little better. It just kind of gives it like a kick without being boosted. So basically we have like a clipping 1, you got clipping 2, a bright and a mid boost. Now if you wanted this to act as a straight Alembic F2B, what you would do is you would turn the master all the way up. You would have these two switches in the middle position, which gets them taken out of the circuit, and you would use the drive as the volume. Now, when I do that, my amp, it's a 100-watt Dumble clean amp. My master's at about 20%. So we're getting a ton of signal, and that's probably even clipping my mic out, but we're getting a ton of signal just with the drive on like 1, or the volume on 1 if the master's up. So with this amount of volume and that front end of the amp getting pushed hard cleanly, which is kind of a weird sentence to say, it makes like a non-steel string singer Dumble voiced amp almost sound like a steel string singer, just because it's getting hit so hard. I mean, that it's really getting hit hard. So what I found is really cool is if we back off the master at like 4 or 5 or so, and then we use the drive, we can get a little bit more of that natural signal. So like right now, instantly, I'm getting like a full boost in frequencies without it being boomy or trebly or anything like that. It is just like it's just a full frequency boost, which is awesome. My amp's set, you know, pretty much all EQs at noon. Right here. So if we wanted to do how I set it, this setting here just makes really any amp just bite like crazy. These two are going to be very dependent on what amp you have. So like what we could do, and I'll kind of play with this for you. We'll set the master at like 1, and then kind of crank the drive up a little bit. Now, you notice there's not a ton of like drive like you would get from a pedal. It's pretty much just boosting the actual signal, I guess. It's not like drive. It's not like a distortion knob or anything. It's more like a push knob than a drive knob. Yeah, I'm on neck pickup. Yeah, and like I said in the intro clip, like seriously, I love the sound of my amp. Favorite amp I've ever had is the one I'm playing through right now. And after taking this out of the signal, in comparison, my amp sounds like crap without it, which is kind of crazy to say. Like, this thing is just ridiculous. What I love doing too is kind of playing with it like this. Now the clip 1, you're going to get a bit of a volume drop in a good way. So we can send it a little bit more of that master volume. The clip 1 doesn't do a ton. It just adds a tiny bit of like background crunch in a cool way. Clipping 2 is what you would expect like clip 1 to be. Clip 2 definitely gives you more of that like guitar pedal territory kind of sound, like a boutique pedal kind of. So if we go to off, and this is just clean, it's probably going to clip the mic, but so it's like straight power clean, and this is going to be that same kind of power. There's just going to be a little bit of grit behind it. So what I like doing too is putting the mid boost on top of that. That kind of turns it into like a really good natural tube screamer kind of sound. Like, that's probably clipping the mic. I don't want to ruin this video too, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Yeah, so this is on about 1. The drive is cranked up. Yeah, like this right here sounds like kind of like a cranked up Fender amp, like a Silverface amp. I'm sure you know. If you don't know, I'll tell you. This, the circuit and the Alembic F2B circuit is the preamp circuit of a Fender Dual Showman. That's all it is. So, you're definitely going to get that Fender-y kind of sound out of it. So with clipping 2 and mid boost with the mids cranked, you're going to get more of that tube screamer kind of sound. It's real sweet sounding. So if we, well, I'll show you the bright real quick. So we got mid boost here. No mid boost. You got bright. Now this bright is kind of cool, and I'll tell you why. The Alembic F2B preamp and this preamp technically is for a bass guitar. So all of the frequencies that these are aimed to hit are for a bass guitar. So when you have a bright switch on a bass guitar, it's not the same kind of like super ear-piercing bright switch that's going to be on any other guitar pedal or any other guitar amp. It kind of hits like the, I guess like the upper mids, I guess, versus like the real high end. There's not a ton of difference from normal to the bright unless you have this kind of cranked up. Unless this tube is working really hard, this bright, you're really not gonna, you're not gonna get a lot of. Although when you are running it with pedals, that can make a difference too. So the mid boost and normal is what I always use. Like if I'm running this through like my Dumble circuit, let me rearrange this here. If I'm running this through like my Dumble circuit, I usually have the mids on. If I'm running it through my high watt, which is pretty much all mid range to begin with, I'll have it on normal or bright. My Yamaha, it's a solid state Leslie thing. If you guys haven't checked out a Yamaha RA100 or an RA200, check it out. It's the Leslie that Gilmore used for the Wall and Animals tour. It's pretty awesome. But that is kind of sterile sounding, and it's really high end. It's really boomy. So, since it's boomy, I have the bass off and the mids cranked. But that'll be a separate video here. So let's go through a little more of these knobs here. So let's just put the drive around 1, 2 o'clock. Master at 1. Kind of go through the frequency here. You're not getting a ton of low end rise. Again, because this is more geared towards bass guitars and not regular guitars, or sorry, 6-string electric guitars. Don't want to piss off any bass players out there, but like it doesn't add any mud, anything like that. It almost works like it's just hitting just a real narrow frequency in the low, mids, and highs. So mids are cranked here. If we scoop the mids, I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's only hitting like one, like kind of narrow band of mids. And actually, let's try this. See what the mid boost sounds like when the mids are scooped. Yeah, it's more like you can really contour it however you want. I kind of like it with the mids cranked. It's just kind of a sweeter sound. But let's do the treble real quick. So it's kind of muffled on my setup with the treble all the way off, as you could expect. But if I was running this through like some greenback speakers or like some kind of brittle sounding speakers, rolling off that treble might be a good thing. Plus, when you start cranking the master, it gets pretty bright pretty quick, also in a good cut through the mix kind of way. So now let's turn the drive down a little bit and start playing with the master. So if my mic clips, I apologize. This is going to get loud pretty quick, but this is what it does. You know, this is designed essentially for a bass guitar to run in through here into a power amp and then into a cab. So for a guitar player, it's gonna react in a much different way. It's like real loud and powerful. So let's just dime this. So now we're just acting like this was a F2B preamp in front of us. So loud. And my amp is not loud at all. So with the master up, I'm going to turn the mids up a little bit just because it sounds better on this amp. Bass off a little bit. Now it sounds. Now if I had a you know, anything not that was a 100-watt freaking amp, we could get this a lot louder, and it wouldn't be as ear piercing. Yeah, see, that sounds just killer, I think. This master and the drive at 5. So let's do a mid boost. Definitely going to clip the mic, but sounds so freaking good. So let's do a little more. Let's do a little something like this. Yeah, see, now this bright switch, now that this this knob's up a little bit and the drive's up, that bright switch is a lot more apparent. If we go to normal, now to bright. This is what, like, the bright switch on, like, a Fender amp should be. It shouldn't be that, like, you know, drill bit through your eardrum high end. Like, that is a nice high end increase. It just hits that nice frequency that it's not going to murder your ears. Now let's back off the mids a little bit and see what's up. God, it, like, seriously, like, this makes my amp sound so much better than it ever has. So let's back off the drive a little bit. Yeah, see, this is just a killer, just bluesy tone right here. Like a perfect rhythm sound here. I'm on the neck and middle pickup. So we got the, you know, bass at 2, mids at 10, treble at like 1. Nice and gritty. So if we did clipping 1, now neck pickup. So let's try something a little different. Let's back off the drive like that. We'll do clipping 2. Yeah, it looks like the clipping is really dependent on the drive, as you could probably expect. I'm a slave for this mid boost. I like it. So let's try mid boost, clipping 1, drive up, it's off. Yeah, so this is something different. So we have the drive cranked, treble cranked, mids all the way off with the mid boost, clipping 1 and bass at like 10 o'clock. Holy shit, that's loud. Let's turn this down a little bit. God, it sounds so good. This setting right here, this straight up sounds like you're plugged into like a cranked, not cranked, but like a loud bassman or a showman or even like a super reverb kind of, like maybe with like a super reverb or a bassman using a TS-808 with the gain most all the way back, just, you know, using it for like a volume boost. It's just super loud, like powerful loud in a good way. So let's try rolling the volume off a little bit. A lot of compression, which is cool. Real powerful. So let's crank these back. Actually, let's crank everything and see what's up. So this is every one of these dimed, clipping to mid boost and just using this as a master. Let's turn that down. Screw it, let's turn it up. This is probably going to clip, but... So, let's back this off. Yeah, let's try that. No bass, no treble, all mid, all drive. Really nice and smooth, I dig. But yeah, so I mean, you get the idea. You can do just a ton of stuff with this thing. Like, this will make any amp sound way better. Like, that's not even a lie at all. Jesus, dude. I mean, just the power that this thing puts out is insane. And what's super cool, and what like you know, Mayer and SRV and all those guys used to do, especially like on their super clean stuff. They will play through something crazy loud, crazy powerful, but they'll just be real light with their touch, you know. So I mean, like if I wanted to lay into it, you know, like, you can get that, but I mean, if you just play real, let me turn the volume down a little bit. If you play just real gentle. Yeah, and that's like barely hitting the strings, which is cool. Like even like some finger pick stuff. Like, I mean, just super quacky. Yeah, sounds just so good. So I'm going to do another demo, and it'll be a shorter demo than this. This is just kind of like a, you know, just like a kind of a full spectrum test. Next demo is going to be through like a high watt style amp, you know, something with a lot of mid-range, super clean. I can probably do one on this Fender 6V6 20 watt amp that I have too. I can, and I'm also going to do it in a total Pink Floyd setting, so where like this is pushing the Yamaha just by itself and all that kind of stuff. But like seriously, guys, this pedal is something else, man. Like it'll take any amp you have. Like I don't care if you have like a $8,000 you know, like hand-built Fuchs or something like that. I mean, this will make any amp better. Any. Frogpedals, check them out. This thing is ridiculous.